What is going on, everybody? This is episode 65 of Stats Over Politics. You are joined by Kevin Dent, doing my best to step into the man, the myth, the legend, Shaun Hoko's shoes. We got our man Jaevon Toddy, who had some technical difficulties, so he will be joining us shortly. Um, so this is kind of awkward. I would usually ask Toddy how he's doing right now, so I'll get into how I'm doing. As you guys can see, oh, hold on, we got Jaevon Toddy back. We got Jaevon Toddy back. I was over here about to ask. I was about to ask myself how I'm doing, so I'm happy I didn't have to do that. So Toddy, how are you doing on this wonderful Friday, brother?
Oh man, ready to talk some hoops. A couple of things going down. If you guys pay attention to the hotline earlier in the week, we're 1-1. Currently have another pending game today, and the Washington Huskies at plus 9.5 over, not over Oregon, but in the Oregon Pac-12 title game. So got that coming up in an hour. But for the meantime, I'm ready to talk some hoops. A lot of things have occurred since last time me and Kev had the NBA show.
Man, a lot indeed. I think it's just crazy to think from our very first show, like how often or like how crazy things have shifted. I remember the first episode we were coming on here saying, "Are the Heat going to be able to do anything? Are they this, and that?" And me and Jaevon came on here every Friday, and we were giving that Detroit Piston love. And unfortunately, as you guys can see in the topics, one of the topics we're going to cover is their 15. Yes, you guys heard me correctly. 15 game losing streak. So without further ado, like I mentioned, this is episode 65. You are joined by Kevin Dent and Jaevon Toddy. So Toddy, I'm gonna swing it to you first. What do you have for us for this week in the NBA?
Well, kind of just to piggyback off what Kevin was saying, if you would have bet on when the 15 game losing streak would have started, you would have bet $100 and rolled it over for each game that they played, you'd be up $21,000 right
21. What? Do something for me.
So, I mean, kind of a lot has transpired. A team that I kind of wanted to touch on, I think we'll kind of get into them a little bit later, is Orlando Magic have been on a tear. This team has won, 8 games straight now? They're second in the East. So this is not a team that's like, oh, well, what are they going to look like? Are they going to be a play-in team? I feel like this is a playoff team. And me and Kevin kind of alluded to it. We're gonna always go back to the pregame show, the preseason show. The Mags is kind of a team that I told people to look out for in the East. I believe I had them in the playoffs, play in for sure. But I didn't think that they would kind of jump out this fast at everybody. Kind of putting the league on storm. Another team is Minnesota Timberwolves have been playing out of this world. Anthony Edwards is averaging like north of 28 points per game. A lot of people have been, me in particular, critical of the Rudy Gobert trade, and they kind of just figured out a way to make things work. And I think, with the dynamic of having Rudy Gobert as being their defensive anchor, and then having Karl Anthony Towns not having to guard, all of those fives on a nightly basis. It's kind of just a relief to him. And Anthony Edwards is kind of just out there, and they're kind of just letting Ant be him. And he's been nonstop one of the best players in the league. And I think if they're able to kind of keep that consistent flow of being able to stop, to have that number one defensive ranking in the league and having Anthony Edwards as one of your best players, and Karl Anthony Towns, I feel like he's starting to figure out that he's not the best player on the team anymore, and he's figuring out like, hey, this young dude, he's going right. And so I feel like he's playing a little bit more off of Anthony Edwards, and at the same time, I do think that Karl Anthony Towns is one of the best, fives in the league. When healthy, he has the most skill, definitely, probably the best 3-point shooting. Big.
It depends. What do you clarify Porzingis as?
Yeah.
Because then that conversation always gets sticky with all these 7-footers that like to play on the perimeter.
I feel like Porzingis is more of a stretch 4, but Cat is more like a 5, stretch 4-ish in that regard. So those are kind of OKC is kind of another team that's just been, Kev, you starting to look more right by the day. I believe Chet Holmgren,
the favorite,
according to Bet MGM, is the favorite to win Rookie of the Year. Now, pretty much since the lottery. The
live lottery show.
Since the live lottery show, Victor Wembanyama has kind of had the unspoken Rookie of the Year award, like in France. Like as soon as the ping pong balls went San Antonio's way, oh, know where the Rookie of the Year is going. It's going to France, or it's going, well, I guess now to San Antonio now. But he's probably going to take it back home to France and frame it, because that's kind of where he's from. But the way that Chet Holmgren has been playing has been insane. And
out of this world.
He's the second best player on that team, if you look at it. And I feel like he has to be the second best player. Just given the fact that Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is, obviously a top 5 player in this league. And Chet is kind of coming in, as a rookie. And he was saying that he was going to be the best player in the NBA in the preseason. And the way that he's been playing has just been great for this team. And I feel like he's a big who can handle the ball, definitely can stretch the floor. And I feel like with his ball handling skills kind of allows his unique athletic. He's like, what, 7'1"?
No, I can, let me see.
Yeah. With his skill set and his build, the way that he's kind of just been playing is just, and the way that,
7'1".
Yeah, he's 7'1". So the way that OKC has been playing has kind of allowed him to just be him, and he's been playing phenomenally. And I think that OKC team, with that 1-2 punch with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Chet Holmgren, what would it look like in 2-3 years? And all of these guys are like under 20. I think Shai is like 24, 23. So, I mean, he's one of those top players in the league under that 25 age. And you have Chet, who is, this is technically his rookie year. We've always talked about OKC and the amount of picks that they've had and the young core that they built. I feel like we're now starting to see like those 3 teams that I've been talking about kind of to come to fruition a little bit. And instead of them being like, oh, they're like a year away or they're still developing, I feel like they're kind of developed now and they're ready to win now. So with those young players all in place on all 3 of those teams, we're starting to see, their development is starting to come to fruition.
Definitely, man. And Toddy definitely went over a variety of things for this week in the NBA. But as you guys all know from tuning in to the Monday podcast, Toddy has come up with a name for me and Garry, and we are called the LeBronologists. So this week in the NBA for me, it was an interesting stat. Well, the Lakers played the Pistons, as we all know, and they showed a little graphic of LeBron's whole career compared to everybody on the Pistons team. LeBron is 38 years old. The average age on that team is 21 and a half. LeBron James has 47,153 points to the Detroit Pistons total, 5,920. Minutes, 66,399 for LeBron James. For the Detroit Pistons players in total, 13,404. So LeBron James has really been doing this. And yes, you can take it with a grain of salt. The Pistons are a young team. All these guys are young. They don't really have the vets to compare to a LeBron James career. They don't have a player to compare to LeBron James' career. I get that. But it just goes to show that in year 21, 38 years old, about to be 39 years old in a couple of days or at the end of the month, and he's just still doing it, man. It just shows the longevity of his career and how he's just continuously been doing it night in and night out. And another thing that I have to say, I've been doing a lot of Lakers talk, so I have to give love to my man. Ice in his veins. D'Angelo Russell became the first Laker to have 35 points, shooting 75% since Kobe Bryant. The most points since he's been traded back to LA. D'Angelo Russell has been a cement for this team. We've seen Austin Reeves kind of go in and out of the lineup, but D'Angelo Russell has, with all the stuff that comes with it, he has been consistent through it all. And it's really nice to see him finally flourish. And lastly, for this week in the NBA, Wes, I have to show love to you. He posted a screenshot of a tweet. So the Timberwolves have been an organization since 1989. They have been the number 1 seed for a total of 10 total days. And this season, they've had 10 days alone as the number 1 seed. So Toddy showed a lot of love to the Minnesota Timberwolves, and we give them a lot of shit because Wes is a Minnesota everything kind of guy. So we give them shit, but they are doing their thing this year. And I commented under Wes's post. And I was like, man, that's cute. 10 games. You guys have been number one for 10 days. There's still, 60-something games left. So, I mean, it's a cute tweet now. It's cute to go out there and post it. But like Tyler mentioned, this is the number one team defensively in the NBA. And it started with Rudy Gobert. A lot of people really slacked that trade and said it wasn't worth it, but they've been coming out and doing this. And then another thing that I had this week in the NBA. Out of all 1-2 punches, Toddy, can you guess the worst 1-2 punch in the NBA?
Is it Stephen Clay?
He used to be a Warrior, and both of these guys have rings.
Kyle Kuzma and Jordan Poole.
Hold on, let me get these stats. They are the worst 1-2 punch. Statistically, they have a combined negative 32.1 net rating, 43 turnovers due to bad passes alone, and 31 shot attempts that were blocked. So statistically, this is the worst 1-2 punch in the NBA. Toddy, what did you have to say?
I recall Shaun, Garry, and Kevin. All those guys. Jordan Poole's going to average 25 points a game. He's going to be an all-star this year. And I was like, hold on, guys. Hold on. Let's pump the brakes a little bit. Still young. I get he's a hooper. Coming off the it wasn't even the championship year. It was just, going to the playoffs and everything that kind of transpired with Draymond Green. And, I was just very reluctant to kind of just anoint Jordan Poole out. I was like, well, if y'all saying he's going to be a 25-point per game scorer, then he's going to be all-star conversation. I'm like, so he's better than all these these guards in the East and Trey Tyrese Halliburton. And I was like, just look at all the guys that are guards in the East, like 1 to 2 guard. It doesn't have to be just point guard. I mean, just Donovan Mitchell, Jalen Brunson. And Jalen Brunson didn't make the play. He didn't even make the All-Star team last year.
Freezing cold take.
And we were all saying that, he should have been an All-Star last year. But I'm just I was just looking at it from a standpoint of, is he better than all of these guards in the East currently? Because he's going to average 25, but he's an all-star. But, now, as Kevin gave you all of those stats, earlier, they're currently the worst duo in the league. Now, I'm not saying I told you so, but I saw this coming from a mile away. The Wizards are trying to get the number 1 pick by any means possible. Now, just based off of the guys that they're paying, Kyle Kuzma and, Jordan Poole, those are 2 young bucks who were the 3rd to 4th best player on their team, on a winning team. And that's, Jordan, going back to when Jordan Poole was in Golden State, and when Kyle Kuzma, won his championship in the bubble with the Lakers. So I think those players would be really good on a contending level type team. But we've kind of, seen, and it's been stated, and the stats show, as Kevin earlier just mentioned, what it looks like when these 2 guys are, quote unquote, the guy on their team. Now, I get they're going to get a bunch of shots. They're going to get 25 shots apiece, because who else is going to get these shots? They're getting paid. They're getting paid to take these shots. But at the same time, it's like, really, they're the 3rd best player on, a playoff level championship type team.
Yeah, man, that's a freezing cold take, and it's funny because that's been a narrative that a lot of people really wanted to follow, that Jordan Poole is going to have this James Harden-like jump, and I don't know if you it's not called All the Smoke, the Kevin Garnett, Paul Pierce podcast, whatever it's called.
Kevin Garnett's podcast is called something else. It's like KG certified.
Yeah, whatever it's called. But he was like, man, like Jordan Poole, you're a champion coming over to this team that's a small market that is essentially the poverty of the NBA. You're supposed to bring that culture. You're supposed to bring that winning attitude. And he's showing that he didn't learn shit in Golden State. We all saw the viral clips of him in the huddle saying, fuck the play, this is my team. Like, I don't even care. Like, and he came on the beginning of the year and they asked him, and this really rubbed me the wrong way. They were like, what do you feel you have to prove? He said, I have a ring. Like, I'm good. And him and Kuzma really take that same mentality. Like, Kuzma could have went somewhere else and put the pressure on himself being a free agent. Toddy all offseason was saying the Kings need to go get him. The Kings need to go get him. We talked about A, B, C, and D, and he chose to stay there. And he's coming out and say, we're not going to win a lot of games. We just have to find a way to be competitive. And it's, you look at what Toddy said, and are they shooting for the number one pick? Like, are you going to want to bring another guy into a negative room? You've been seeing all kinds of stuff that Jordan Poole and Kyle Kuzma are up for trade. So it's going to be interesting to see in a couple of weeks before the trade deadline to really see how this team really figures it out. But I'm going to swing it to you next, Toddy. You mentioned them in the beginning of the show. The Orlando Magic are currently on an 8-game winning streak and are the number 2, yes, ladies and gentlemen, the number 2 team in the Eastern Conference. Toddy, what are your thoughts on this 8-game winning streak?
Well, I think another I told you so, man. Paolo Banchero, Franz Wagner. I think in the pregame show, I don't even think it was the pregame show. I just think that it was one of those, early shows before the season started. Kev was asking me, who are some of the, best, duos or young duos kind of coming in. And I was like, a lot of people aren't really talking about this team, but they kind of are. And they were a team, not a team, but these two guys were in the top 100 in the league. And it kind of set them off. It kind of set the league on fire, early. And, Patrick Beverly kind of went out and said, well, these two are Franz Wagner and Paolo Banchero, these two top 100. Oh, then y'all a playoff team. And, I mean, I kind of saw the development early a little bit, and a lot of people weren't really on Franz Wagner, the way that he's 6'11", can handle the ball, can shoot the ball from 3. And Paolo Banchero was just the rookie of the year. So, I mean, a lot of people think Paolo can be, a top 10 player at some point in time. Even though he's a dookie, he will definitely be one of the best players in this league. As far as Franz Wagner goes, we kind of saw a glimpse of it, with whenever
not Germany.
I think it is Germany.
Is it? No, yeah, he played with Dennis. It was Germany.
So when he was playing for Germany, in the World Cup, we kind of were saying like, whoa, like, hey, he's kind of out there, giving this Team USA some work. So when we all kind of wondered what he would look like, going to the training camp and what they would kind of look like coming out. And they kind of, blew the doors off of Houston, who was actually a pretty solid team now. Another young core that we've talked about earlier. And they've kind of just been very consistent. Jalen Suggs has kind of started to fit in a little bit. I've kind of been skeptical on him and, wondering if they were going to ever keep Jalen Suggs. And I feel like with the Markelle Fultz injury, he's kind of settled into he's kind of taken Markelle Fultz's place, if that kind of makes sense. As far as scoring the ball, being a person that's going to be able to attack. Because I feel like Fultz is more ball dominant, so he usually has the ball in his hand, and Suggs really isn't able to flourish as much because Fultz takes a lot of that up. And now they did pay Fultz to do, these types of things, so I get why, Suggs has kind of looked the way he's looked, but Jalen Suggs has been playing on fire. Cole Anthony has been playing out of his fucking mind. And, albeit he had the 1 year at North Carolina, left after a knee injury, was the number 1 player coming out of high school. He is a guy that and we'll talk about this later, in my most improved 6th man of the year type deal. If Orlando is, when your team is playing really good, you're going to reap the benefits of the success. As far as, last year we saw the Kings become the number 3 seed. And we saw guys like De'Aaron Fox get an all-star. We saw Domantas Sabonis get an all-star. And we saw Mike Brown win Coach of the Year. And that was all because of the team success and how great that they were playing. And I feel like if the Orlando Magic keep playing the way that they're playing, we might start seeing, Paolo could be an all-star. Franz might be an all-star. And we might see Cole Anthony might get 6th man of the year. Now, this is what the first, we're not really even 25 games in yet, but the way that this Orlando Magic team has been playing has been out of this world, and couldn't be more surprised. I've been a guy that's, League Pass usually comes on. They're usually one of the first games to come on. If I'm not mistaken, they're probably playing right now against Washington. So usually their games are on earlier, and a lot of people don't really get a chance to catch their games. But they're a very fun team to watch, and very young too. So You're going to see a lot of running and gunning guys getting up and down the floor, and very high scoring too as well. So this Orlando Magic team is second, and they're one of the best teams against the spread too. So you want to bet on the Orlando Magic? Don't be afraid, because they're a team that will win you some money.
Yeah, man. And this Orlando Magic team is no joke. And Toddy mentioned all their offensive stats, but this is one of the top five defensive teams in the NBA, followed behind the Knicks, Rockets, Timberwolves, and Celtics. They're only giving up 107.4 points a night. They did, and another fun fact about this Magic team, they did not win their 12th game until December. Or no, let me see. This computer's all twitching on me. This is their best record through 17 games since the 2011-2012 season. They did not win their 12th game of the year till their 33rd game last year, December 21st. So this team is really getting a lot better. This is the 12th time in team history the Magic has had a 10 plus wins in the first 15 games. And Toddy talked about it. Franz Wagner and Paolo Banchero. The last 10 games, Paolo Banchero's been averaging 21 points, 7 rebounds, 4 assists. He's shooting 50% from the field and 48.7% from 3 on 4 attempts a night. He was the most recent Eastern Conference Player of the Week, the 13th Magic of all time. First Magic since November 17th of 2019 with Nikola Vucevic. During that week when he was Eastern Conference Player of the Week, he averaged 24 points, 6 rebounds, 5 assists, 1 block, shooting 54% from the field and 52% from 3, and led his team to a 3-0 victory. Franz Wagner in this 10-game stretch, averaging 20 points, 6 rebounds, 3 assists, 3 rebounds, and 2 steals a night. Like I mentioned, it's one of the best defensive teams in the world in the NBA. And someone who's not really getting a lot of credit on this team is the other Wagner brother, Mo Wagner. We got to show some Michigan love, unfortunately, but he's arguably one of the best backup centers in the NBA, and he's shown that he's consistent. They had Wendell Carter go out, and he stepped up, and he's really doing his thing. They haven't missed a beat. And we talked about the Markelle Fultz injury. Jalen Suggs. A lot of people were on the fence about Jalen Suggs when you think of where they drafted him in that draft class and what he was supposed to be for this team. He's really struggled, but on the defensive end, he is their engine. He's guarding the best player night in and night out. You see all the videos of him diving on the floor, getting the crowd lit. This Orlando Magic team is not the Orlando Magic team from the past, and I absolutely love it. You see all the retro jerseys of Orlando and all the old history and the Penny Hardaway days and the Shaq days, and now they're rejuvenated. Paulo came on the podcast and said that one of his teammates were like, last season when they weren't winning, they said we weren't getting this kind of support from the city, but until you came. So Paolo Banchero is the engine of this team, and he's showing that he's legit and he deserves to be, like Toddy mentioned, in the All-Star conversation. So moving on to our next team, another surprise team that we've talked about, the Oklahoma City Thunder. They are currently the 3rd team in the Western Conference, Toddy. What are your thoughts on this early Oklahoma City Thunder team?
I think it's kind of a combination of Shai kind of becoming a superstar and Chet being healthy and kind of just going out there and doing his game. They got a lot of other young, great players. J-Dub is another guy who's been playing very well for this team. You got guys like the other Jalen Williams, who they just got back due to injury. But really, the engine that's kind of just been going with this team is, obviously Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Chet Holmgren. And it's already scary right now, and Chet is only a rookie, but I kind of mentioned earlier that this 1-2 punch can definitely be, one of the better 1-2 punches in the league. And with Shai being kind of already cemented, he was all NBA last year. All-Star, kind of anointed as like, I'm here in this league now. And, bouncing off that into this year, he's kind of he hasn't really skipped a beat. And, Clipper fans are kind of, shaking in their boots a little bit at night because Shai Gilgeous-Alexander was definitely a part of that trade that ultimately got Kawhi Leonard and Paul George.
Kawhi and Shai?
Yeah, man. I mean, you kind of saw it early because in those playoff series, when it was they were going against the Warriors and Pat Bev, Lou Williams, all those guys. They were a very feisty team. A lot of people didn't really think of anything of the Clippers, and a young Shea Gilgeous-Alexander was on that team, and he was coming off the bench and was getting his minutes here and there. So we would definitely see flashes of him going against KD and it was the KD Warriors basically. So and I believe they won 2 games in that series, so they took them to 6 games. So those series were very competitive. And so we wanted to see what Shea would be like, coming off of that. I'm going to the next year, and then ultimately he gets traded, to Oklahoma City. Is usually when someone gets, and this is after Russ and after the whole, Russ, Melo, Paul George scenario, and you're kind of just wondering like, what's OKC going to be now? And then over time, Sam Presti, is accumulating all of these draft picks, and you're just hearing things about them having like 13 or like I don't know how many picks it is over like the next like 6 seasons, but it's like
24.
It's 24
first round picks.
Yeah, first round draft picks, and they're just acquiring talent. Drafting young guys. They're drafting guys like J-Dub. Drafting like guys like Josh Giddey. Obviously, the stuff that he's kind of been going through. You're drafting guys like Chet Holmgren. And you acquired a Shea Gilgeous-Alexander to kind of be the forefront for all of that. And it's definitely paid off. As Kevin already mentioned earlier, they're third in the West. I mean, this is the stacked West that we talked about, filled with teams like the Suns, who haven't really gotten to start clicking. And obviously the defending champs and the Nuggets, the Lakers, the Timberwolves are freaking...
All right, you said too many names. Go ahead and say the Kings, bro. Don't get disrespectful.
And then, the Kings. They're
the Kings.
But like this West is just so compacted and has so many different teams, and it's like usually the person that comes out of the West is supposed to be winning the finals, apparently. So for this OKC team to be playing as well as they are and to be as young as they are, it's unprecedented, and they just got to keep going, man. And I feel like if Chet keeps playing the way that he's playing, Kev will be the mad scientist that said, 3 months ago that Chet was going to be the rookie of the year. And I believe at that time, Chet was like plus 1,000, something like crazy. It was the odds are obviously way down now, but if you would have put money on back then when Kevin said to bet on Chet Holmgren to win rookie of the year, you would be looking great right now. You would look like a genius right now. But like I've said, Kev, he's had some wild takes in the past. Some things he's just he keeps throwing stuff at the wall to see what sticks. So this Chet Holmgren take is making him look like a genius right now.
Sticking. That shit is sticking to the wall, and you can see it. But like Toddy mentioned, Chet Holmgren, rookie of the year. The past 5 games, averaging 24 points, 9 rebounds, 3 assists, 3 blocks a night, shooting 55 from the field, 41 from the 3, and 79% from the free throw. And we all mentioned Shea Gilgeous-Alexander. Toddy mentioned that they brought this guy in to be the general for this team. They got a lot of young guys that need someone to really just step into that role and lead them. In his last 5 games, averaging 34 points, 5 rebounds, 6 assists, 2 steals, 1 block, shooting 59% from the field, 50% from 3, and 98% from the free throw line. Toddy, there has never been a duo in the NBA history, 76, 78 years maybe, however long the NBA has been going on, there's never been a duo to both be in the 50, 40, 90 club. And Chet Holmgren and Shea Gilgeous-Alexander are on track to be there. So for those of you guys who don't know what the 50, 40, 90 club is, just being super efficient, you're shooting 50% from the field, 40% from the 3, and 90% from the free throw line. There's people like Kevin Durant who's done it twice, Kyrie Irving, Steph Curry, Malcolm Brogdon, Steve Nash did it 4 times.
Steve Nash was a guy that did
Dirk Nowitzki, Reggie Miller, Mark Price, and Larry Bird did it twice.
Those are like legends.
Legends. This is something that is going to be crazy to see if this is going to be the first duo to ever do it. And you look at the record book and say Oklahoma City Thunder, the old Supersonics team. Yeah. Yes, not with Kevin Durant and Russ and James. This is a new and improved Oklahoma City Thunder. This winning streak, unfortunately, came to an end in a crazy battle against the 76ers when Joel Embiid and Chet Holmgren went basket for basket. Chet Holmgren did not back down, and that's what you love to see.
By the way,
I don't want to say it, but I think this team is a playoff lock. I had them in the plan. I think this is a team that can for sure make the top 6.
OKC versus Sac in the first round.
Hey man, I would hate to have to send them packing in the early rounds, but I mean, you gotta get your feet wet a little bit. So while we're on the talking about the Western Conference, another streak. The Phoenix Suns have won 7 games in a row without Kevin Durant. Before I spin it to Toddy, I just wanted to come on here and last Friday when I mentioned that Kevin Durant was the 3rd most in minutes, and now look at him, foot injury, out for 7 games. You can't have him be one of the oldest guys in the NBA playing those kind of minutes. He has not played since November 15th. But since then, the Suns have beaten teams like the Timberwolves, Utah twice in double overtime, Portland, Golden State, Memphis, Devin Booker. All offseason, the narrative was the Suns no longer have a point guard. Devin Booker in his last 7 games, 29 points, 9 assists, 5 rebounds, 48% from the field, 39% from the 3. 90% from the free throw line. Devin Booker is going to come in here and show that Chris Paul, he learned a lot from Chris Paul. He's being out there and he knows that all eyes are on him. But he's going to be out there and get his guys open. And they put a lot of the guys around him that are being very successful. The Bulls of the world, the U2 Watanabe. They have a lot of good shooters around them to really complement this team very well. And we have yet to see this team with their big 3. They have not played 1 game together. I know it's really early, so it's scary. It's scary to think what this team could do single-handedly with him and Kevin Durant. They took him to the game before, or the series before, the conference semis with just the 2 of them. So you get a healthy Brad Beal, like I mentioned, all the other options that they have around this team. This Phoenix Suns team is going to be scary, and I, for one, have been on the fence with this team because I'm just not down with the injury stuff, man. Like I get it, like Bradley Beal's back is hurt, but we've known this. When the news came on here and Toddy's like, "Oh, this team's going to be crazy," I'm like, bro. This dude's played 58 games in over 2 seasons. Oh. It's 168 games in 2 seasons, and he didn't even play half. And yeah, Toddy's response was it's Washington. He didn't want to play, blah, blah, blah. But now it's coming to show where he's at where he wanted to be. He wanted to be in a place where he can win and compete for a championship. And he's coming out like Anthony Davis, and he's always dressed in street clothes. So I'm excited to see what this team can be with the 3 of them all together. But as of right now, Devin Booker is looking like an early MVP candidate. So, Toddy, what are your thoughts on this 7-game winning streak?
As you kind of mentioned already, I think Kevin Durant recently just played in the Toronto game this past on Wednesday. And he had 30. Devin Booker didn't play particularly well in that game. But it's really been, Devin Booker. And when he first came in the league, he was putting up numbers, as a rookie that, matched Carmelo Anthony, LeBron James, and Kobe Bryant when he first entered the league. And pretty much when he first got to Phoenix, he was pretty much asked to do everything. And that was handle the ball, be able to score. And this is at 18 years old, fresh out of Kentucky. And he kind of was doing that. And I was always either a year or two early on Phoenix because I would always come out and scream in the clouds and say, hey, this Phoenix team, Devin Booker, he's for real. They're going to make the playoffs this year, and these were years where they would, win 30 games, 20 games. And then all of a sudden this guy named Chris Paul kind of comes into the picture. And they somehow, stumble into the NBA Finals. And they're a team that is formidable in the West, and they get to the finals. They win 2 games, but they ultimately kind of fizzled out. Giannis kind of happened, and that was that. Pretty much since then, the Suns have kind of been, in the playoff picture, but have kind of been, a little bit outside looking in. Chris Paul usually a guy that usually gets hurt. He did get hurt in the finals. I think he got hurt in last year's playoffs. The year that they kind of got trounced, it wasn't last year. I think it was 2 years ago. The year that they kind of got trounced by Luka in the finals. That was kind of when Devin Booker and Luka were going out. And then all of a sudden they get this guy by the name of Kevin Durant. I don't know if you heard of him, but he's pretty good. And we saw what they would look like in the playoffs. It was pretty much your turn, my turn, and they averaged almost 40 points in that Nuggets series. And we all universally recognized the Suns team as very talented, but it was kind of just two guys on the team. And so for them to kind of go out and get Bradley Beal and, kind of, structure out the roster with guys like Eric Gordon, Yuta Watanabe, guys that can shoot, and Kadis Bates Diop, and Bol and
Nurkic.
Hey, what's your boy's name?
Campaign? No, not Campaign. Who's my boy?
Not Gordon Hayward. It's wow, blanking on his name. The Dookie, the guy with the dirty.
Grayson Allen.
Grayson Allen. Bam! I don't know why I was tripping out on his name, but he's actually been playing solid. But for this team to not have a chance to have all three guys play, and by the way, all three guys are making like at least 30 and up. That's $30 million and up. And for them to not have been playing, we'll see. KD and Book will play, Beal and Book will play, but they've never all gotten a chance to play together. And we've seen a Kevin Durant trio that hadn't only played 11 games with Kyrie, James, and those three never really got a chance to play. So I'm not jumping to conclusions and saying that's going to happen, but other factors kind of played in, with the COVID stuff and Kyrie not really being able to play home games, and James Harden kind of being injured, KD being injured, and those guys never really got a chance to play. But for this Suns team, kind of right now, to be able to man the ship, with Devin Booker being able to man the ship without Kevin Durant, without Bradley Beal, is speaking, volumes, because he's been a guy that's been able to, like I mentioned earlier in my rant, that Devin Booker's been a guy that always could be able to handle the ball and be able to get other guys involved, but they kind of need to hit him to score. Like, we don't need you to be able to kind of go and, get other guys involved. We need you to score. And I feel like over this 7-game win streak that the Suns, or Devin Booker's proved that, he can get guys involved with. In that 7-game stretch, as Kevin already mentioned, that he was averaging 9 assists. So we all mentioned that, Bradley Beal is going to be the point guard. I mean, they came out and said Bradley Beal is going to be the point guard of this team. But I feel like it's kind of going to be Devin Booker, because I feel like he has, even though Devin Booker is really a 2 at heart, the way that he's been playing like a point guard. He's been able to get guys involved. And, congrats to the Suns team. I mean, they just lost the other night, but going up against a tough opponent tonight in the Nuggets without – it was mentioned that Devin Booker is not going to be playing tonight. They due to his, calf injury. So we'll see how that goes. But I think I speak for everyone when I say that we all want to see those three on the court together.
You do. But before we move on, the man has showed himself. Did I miss the Timberwolves episode? Y'all talking about the 2nd seed in the East. I had to text Wes and let him know he missed it. We gave Minnesota their flowers. We have come on here week after week and given Minnesota their love, Wesley. So you're going to have to rewatch the episode back. But they were this week's in the NBA, them continuously being up there. And I mentioned the tweet, Toddy, or Wes, I know you're going to hate me for bringing it up, but I even quoted you, man. You guys have been number 1 for 10 days, and I know you're celebrating over there, knocking back a couple of shots. And it's celebration time over there, man. 10 days? 10 days? That's 10 days. But now we got to talk about those boys. The Sacramento Kings have won 8 out of their last 10, Toddy. What have been your thoughts through this Kings semi-win streak?
I mean, I kind of said this last week. De'Aaron Fox, he had 40 the other night.
MVP. MVP.
And a loss. Kind of coming off of an emotional win against, the Golden State Warriors. And like I've already mentioned, every time the Kings play the Golden State Warriors, it just feels like a playoff game whenever that they play against each other. And I just think the Kings are a better team currently. Like, the way that they're structured right now, that they're better than the Warriors. Like, they shouldn't be going back and forth with the Warriors. Shouldn't be losing by 17 points, getting kind of blown out at home against the Warriors. It makes no sense to me, but the Kings allow it to happen. And I kind of just think the way that De'Aaron Fox is playing, he has to be mentioned in MVP conversations. The numbers don't lie. This is our show, Stats Over Politics, as Kev always says. And the stats are they're speaking volumes. And Domantas Sabonis has been playing particularly well, being able to clean the glass. I think Malik Monk needs a lot of credit too. The way that he's been playing off the bench, I think another guy, 6-man of the year candidate, in my opinion. The way that he's been playing has been lights out. And Kevin Huerter has been playing out of his fucking ass. And I don't know what got into him, because last time I checked in the playoffs, he didn't really play as well that he would have liked. Going back to his standards being in Atlanta in those playoff series, going out with Giannis and going out with the Philadelphia 76ers. That's why the Kings brought him to Sacramento, because of those series that he had in the playoffs against, on that, Eastern Conference championship run that they had. They saw that Kevin Huerter, and that's the reason why that he was brought to Sacramento. And I'm starting to see flashes of the old Red Velvet. And if he keeps playing like this, man, Kings will be a scary team. I feel like if everyone is playing at the level that they're capable of being played at, and they've been doing this without Keegan Murray for a couple of games too. He's been injured. So Keegan is, one of the guys who I thought would be, kind of spring out and be one of those better young players in the league, but he's been injured. I think back injury is what it was.
Back, yes, Lord.
So we'll see what he looks like when he comes back. But this team they've been playing pretty solid. I think they're like 6th currently in the West.
Third.
Yeah.
We're tied
for third
with the Thunder, I believe. No, the Mavericks.
Y'all are 10-7 right now, so you're at 6th place. So you're tied for 5th.
You're tied for 5th. So, yeah, man, this Sacramento Kings team. A lot of people thought last year was a lot of hype, and we had the YouTube series, and everyone thought, we were putting all of our eggs into one basket. But this team is showing that they're resilient, and this is a team that is going to win for a long time. Like I mentioned, when we talked last week about our 2 early MVP candidates, De'Aaron Fox was up there. During this last 10 games, 31 points, 6 rebounds, 5 assists, 49% from the field, and 38% from 3. His center, all NBA center, Domantas Sabonis, just nothing too crazy. 21 points, 12 rebounds, 9 assists, shooting 65% from the field. And like Toddy mentioned, Malik Monk. Last year he got a lot of 6-man of the year hype. This year he's doubling down, averaging 15 points in this 10-game winning or this last 10 games, 5 rebounds, 3 assists, and he's shooting 45% from the 3-point line and 87% from the free throw line. And Kevin Huerter, Red Velvet. Ever since he came out and said, we don't care about y'all parlays, and everyone said, Kevin, we don't put you on the parlay. He heard it, and he is coming to play. Averaging 17 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists, shooting 50% from the 3 from field goal, 44% from 3, and 83% from the line. And this is all without Keegan Murray, who was one of Toddy's breakout players. So if we can get Keegan Murray back, and this team could continue to just keep playing. Another guy I want to talk about is Sasha Vučević. He has been coming in and lighting it up. The EuroLeague MVP is coming and showing that he is legit. He's just a shooter. His defense is kind of subpar, but he's getting there. And when they asked him how he's feeling 17 games in, he said, I'm trying. He's doing his best. He said there's a big difference. The floor is a lot more spaced out, but that plays into him. And when he has guys like Domantas Sabonis and De'Aaron Fox to find him in his spots, he's going to be able to flourish. And I think this team is going to continue to really climb up the standings and, hopefully chase down the Timberwolves. Hopefully they're probably at number 1 seed for another 2-3 days, and it'll be standing history. 13 days instead of 10. But so we've been talking a lot of good things about all these teams. So now it's time to get into the shit zone of the show. This is episode 65 of Stat the Web Politics with Kevin Dent and Jaevon Toddy. Toddy, we've, like I mentioned in the pregame or the monologue of the opening monologue of the show, we have been huge Detroit Piston fans. The Detroit Pistons have now lost 15 games in a row. Toddy, what are your talking points from this 15-game losing streak? I know it's probably going to be hard and probably not mean this might be the quickest topic of the night, but what are your thoughts on this 15-game losing streak?
It's been kind of sad. Cade's numbers are good. He's averaging 22 points, about 7 assists a game. So I don't think it's him. I think it's just maybe the young players are trying to adjust to Monty Williams' system. Still don't understand why Jaden Ivey is not starting games. He's coming off of the bench. I don't think Killian Hayes is that good. He's been starting the majority of the games. I feel like he's a guy that
him and Sasser are starting over Jaden Ivey.
I don't know what the misconnection or what the miscommunication is, because apparently the Jaden Ivey had no idea that he was going to be not starting, because that's kind of what he'd been doing all of last season. And then all of a sudden, Monty Williams comes in, implements the system, and, he hasn't really picked up the minutes. I get Marcus Sasser has been, playing, particularly well, but I feel like the two highlights of this team are Cade Cunningham and Jalen Duren. Jalen Duren's a guy who's been averaging, I think, north of 11 rebounds a game, and kind of just been cleaning the glass and doing all the dirty work within the paint. So I don't know, man. I feel like maybe it might be a lineup issue, and just trying to figure out who's going to be playing and who's going to be getting in the starting rotation and getting all of the minutes versus certain guys who aren't really playing that probably should be playing, and just the system as a whole. I thought the Pistons started out this like first 5 or 6 games. They started out okay, but then they kind of just reverted back to their old ways, and that's losing. And I feel like for Monty Williams to come in and be he's getting paid like a top 5 coach in the league.
He's the highest paid coach in the NBA.
Yeah, he's the highest paid coach in the NBA, as Kevin already mentioned. So, him being a guy that's taken a team to the finals and been on multiple playoff runs, I feel like it's going to take some time for him to kind of implement, a system with the Pistons. I didn't really expect him to kind of come out and turn the Pistons around, and they would just be a top 5 seed in the East. I don't think none of us expected that. But I didn't expect them to lose 15 games in a row. That's a lot. So with that being said, I feel like this Pistons team has to be better. I mentioned earlier in the podcast, if you would have bet on the Pistons, if you would have bet $100 on the Pistons, when that 15-game losing streak started, you would have rolled it over each and every game. Whoever was playing the Pistons, let's bet that bankroll. Whoever's betting the Pistons, betting that bankroll again, and you would have turned it into $21,000.
Money.
It's just very disappointing, because you have a guy who might be most improved in Cade Cunningham. I wouldn't call him most improved because he's number 1 pick, but
that's how it goes.
That's just usually how it is. And yeah, this Pistons team is not. Me and Kev we were both high on them early at the pregame show, and they've disappointed us to a T. I think I had them in the play-in, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, we both did. But
so,
man, Monty Williams came out and said that he was going to take a break from coaching, but when they throw that money and they back the truck up, he said,
"How much?" He said, "How much?"
To go where? Hey, I'm good, bro. I'm coming.
Yeah.
My bags are packed and my flight is booked. But throughout these 15 games, they haven't had an easy stretch. The 2 teams that they should have beaten this 15-game stretch are the Portland Trail Blazers and the Washington Wizards. But the other teams, the remaining 13 teams, Oklahoma City Thunder, New Orleans, the Suns, the Warriors, the Bucks, the Sixers, the Bulls, and the Hawks, the Cavs, the Raptors, the Nuggets, the Pacers, the Lakers. They're not having a cupcake walk. So this is a very young team. So they're going to have to get the learning. They're going to have to take the bumps. They're going to have to learn. They got a lot of good young guys, but I think they're starting to they're having a roadblock. They have too many guards on that team. They have too many bigs. You have the 2nd overall pick in James Wiseman with 14 DNPs in the stretch. Like, you have all this valuable potential, and you're just not putting it on the floor. We talked about Cade Cunningham. He's averaging 22 points, 7 rebounds, and 4 rebounds. And then Jalen Duren, 12 points, 11 rebounds, and 2 assists. And that's it. When you think of the Pistons, it's really just the Cade and the Jalen show. But something that really took my eye, well, Toddy mentioned earlier, is Jaden Ivey. Is he having a sophomore slump? Last year, he averaged 16 points, 5 assists, and 4 rebounds, and 1 steal in 31 minutes played. And he averaged 14 shots a night. And all of those games, yes, besides 12, were without Cade Cunningham. And yes, Monty Williams was not the coach. He started 73 out of the 74 games he appeared in. This year, 12 points a night, 3 assists, 3 rebounds, 9 shots a night, 24 minutes played. and out of the 14 games he started or played, he's only started 5. So you see this a lot with more of like football. That's not Monty's guy. Monty did not pick him with the 4th. No, we had 4 that year, so they must have 5.
Yeah.
5th. So with the 5th overall pick, Monty didn't pick him. So that's not Monty's guy. This year, the guys that Monty picked are playing. Their 2 first-round picks in Marcus Sasser and Asar Thompson are playing. So that's just not his guy. He didn't bring him in. Yeah. So I feel like that's really the biggest thing with me.
It's kind of like with like when guys transfer or when a head coach gets fired and a new coach gets hired and guys come in and they're like, all right, this is kind of what it is. We even saw with Dion when he came. He said, I'm bringing my luggage with me, and it's Louis. And so you guys can hit that portal. Well, here in the NBA, it's a little different because, contracts and money is involved. Not saying that, there's a little bit of money involved in the college game now, but, when when you're the highest paid head coach in the NBA and, you get a chance to get hands-on and be able to draft guys like Asar Thompson and Marcus Sasser, and you have a top 5 guy in Jaden Ivey, and he wasn't a guy that was picked by, Monty Williams, so he's kind of, suffering the consequences, I guess, from him not really playing. So could we see, if this continues, could we see Jaden Ivey on the move maybe?
That'd be nuts. And as you guys all, I don't know if you guys all know this, but last offseason, or 2 off seasons ago, I was in the DMs to Toddy like, hey, man, it's Sharp or Ivy. That's it. Yeah. That's all I want. I don't want no damn Keegan Murray. I don't want none of the big men. I want these 2 guards. We got to pair them with Fox. It was Shaden Sharp and Jaden Ivey screaming from the rooftops. But it all worked out on my bachelor party. That was the NBA draft. All my groomsmen have the draft. They have the video, and they say Keegan Murray, and I just fell to the floor.
He said the Kings ruined his chance.
The Kings. I told everyone the Kings ruined my bachelor party, man. But looking back on it, 2020, it's all working out. But
it was a blessing.
It was a blessing. So while we're talking about old rookies, Toddy, let's go ahead and get into our rookie watch. I'm going to go first because I don't want you to steal this guy from me. Jaime Jaquez, last 5 games, 18 points, 5 rebounds, 2 steals, 2 made threes a night, shooting 56 from the field, 58 from 3, and 86 from the free throw line. This guy shot 32% from the college line. He's a 4-year guy. He is the definition of I'm going to put my head down and I'm going to work. Miami is known for their culture and bringing guys in and really developing guys. But Jaime Jaquez is coming out here and balling his ass off. We were watching the live show and me and Ty were going back and forth on when he was going to get picked. And when Miami took him, we had none but great things to say because he fell into the right culture. With these NBA draft picks, if you do not have the right fit, it's going to show. For example, I know it all hurts Kings fans, but us taking whoever the hell we took the next pick instead of Damian Lillard, we took Marvin Bagley over Luka. Like it's all about fits, and if you don't put these players in the right situations, they're not going to succeed. So Miami Heat and Jaime Jaquez that's the one rookie I have for my rookie watch. Toddy, who do you have on your rookie watch from this last year?
I mean, it's kind of tough to say. Jaime Jaquez was a guy I did have on my
yeah, I was like, once I was looking at it, I was like, I gotta get it first.
But I'm gonna go with Jordan Hawkins. Jordan Hawkins has been a guy we saw in the interview. I'll just go off the numbers. He's averaging 15 points, almost 16 points a game, 5 rebounds. He's shooting 46% from the field. We saw him in an interview. He said, hey, man, all that dribbling stuff is cool. But if you could shoot, if you can shoot and play defense, you can make $20+ million in this league. And he's not wrong. He's definitely not wrong. And I think, the injury to Trey Murphy kind of elevated and CJ kind of elevated him, and it was like, all right, like we got this rookie, let's play him. And he's kind of went out there and he's balled. Would like to see him when their team is, fully healthy and everybody's kind of integrated. And, Hawkins will definitely continue to get minutes. And he's shooting the shit out of the ball, man.
Shooting the shit out of the ball.
I don't know what more that you want from the guy, especially from a rookie too.
KG said he had that Michael Redd game, the young Ray Allen.
Yeah, he's got that.
I saw Michael Redd. I was like, damn, I ain't seen a Michael Redd photo in forever.
Yeah, man. So definitely, this kid is, definitely one of the top rookies right now. We could always, go off and say, Chet is one of those guys. A guy I wanted to mention as far as rookie watch goes, not really I wouldn't say a positive. It's more like it's Scoot Henderson. I think we gotta.
Someone's got to say it, Toddy.
Someone's got to.
I think it has to be you. No one else is saying it. Go ahead.
It hasn't even been 25 games of the season yet. He's been hurt already. But Chet is definitely, or not Chet. Scoot Henderson has definitely struggled from the 3-point line, from the field, just being able to turnovers, pretty much any statistical stat currently right now. Now I get it. First couple of games, he could be playing like shit this week, and the next week he'll be averaging 25 whatever points in the game, or just
25.
I'm just saying he could have a great week next week, but right now he's not playing to what I saw in the summer league and in that short spurt that we saw. Now we all have understood that the summer league can be deceiving. It can be very deceiving, but at the same time, I get the position that he's definitely in a very high pressure situation because he was kind of being considered as one of those better players as far as in the draft. It was Scoot, Wemby, and I get Brandon Miller was picked second, but it was universally recognized that Scoot and Wemby were pretty much the two best players in this draft, and Brandon Miller was drafted for fit over best player. I feel like that's kind of the universal recognition of how the draft kind of went on. You're replacing Damian Lillard, arguably the greatest Portland Trailblazer.
It's not even an argument
in the history of Portland Trailblazer. So he's got some very big shoes to fill. Now I get it. I keep saying this. They're not even 20 games in yet. So we gotta see as the season progresses. If he starts to maybe start playing a little bit better, but right now Scoot Henderson is not playing well. He's supposed to be the guy, and I get that Anthony Simons is hurt. He's a big part of the scoring that kind of goes into the offense, but it's really been Malcolm Brogdon doing the majority of the scoring for this team, and we'd like to see a little bit more from Scoot. I mean, we're kind of getting spoiled with guys like Chet and guys like Wemby and Jaime Jaquez, the guys that we've already kind of mentioned. The number 3 pick in the draft hasn't really been playing well. It could be his injury. He's still playing hurt. That could be a factor as well. But he has not been playing well at all.
So we have 2 more topics left on episode 65 of Stats Over Politics. This is Kevin Dent and Jaevon Toddy. You are listening to Stats Over Politics, episode 65. So one of the last 2 topics of the show, Toddy, I need to get it on record. Who will win the first inaugural? Oh, not the play-in tournament, the in-season tournament. Let me go ahead and fix that for me.
Same difference.
So, yeah, same difference. Perfect. Let me go ahead and throw that back on there. Line it back. Yeah, I got the bracket for you. So let me go ahead and redo this. So who will win the inaugural first in-season tournament? So the quarterfinals start, and they start on Wednesday. So we have the Lakers versus so we have the Lakers versus the Suns. We have the Kings versus the Pelicans. We have the Bucks versus the Knicks, and the Pacers versus the Celtics. So who do you have in the first quarterfinal rounds in the West? So we have, like I mentioned, we have the Lakers and the Suns, and we have the Kings and the Pelicans. Who do you have winning those 2 games?
This is kind of tough. This in-season tournament is definitely, one for the ages, because a lot of people were kind of starting to figure out how is this going to kind of work out? What's it going to look like? I feel like they should have did this maybe a little bit later in the season, maybe after the All-Star break is kind of where I feel like they should have put it. I feel like that's perfect. Last half of the season, you kind of get it. Everybody out off of the All-Star break, and everyone's kind of pushing for a playoff spot. And you could also win $500K. So those are 2 that would be 2 incentives, I feel like, to get those guys to get the win. All right, so
if Lakers Suns, who's going to win that game?
I don't know who's playing.
Toddy, you gotta.
I don't know
you
if
gotta, you gotta put it on the
Devin
line.
Booker, is Bill not going to play? Bradley Beal might come back, or is he? They said that he was going to be evaluated in 3 weeks.
He ain't coming back,
so he's not probably going to play. Give me the Lakers. I'll take
Lakers. We have Kings, Pelicans.
Give me where are the Kings? Are the Kings playing at home?
Mm-hmm.
Give me the Kings.
Okay, then we have the Lakers versus Kings. The Lakers will be at home. Who is going to the in-season tournament championship?
Kings are at home or Lakers at home?
Lakers will be at home.
Give me. I'll take the Lakers.
Lakers. Okay, so who will the Lakers be playing in the inaugural in-season tournament championship? Who do you have in the Bucks-Knicks matchup? Bucks are at home.
You said Bucks are at home?
Yes.
Yeah, give me the Bucks.
And I know everyone listening.
This is a one and done, by the way, right?
Yes, one and done. And I know everyone listening is saying, Kevin, we already know what he's going to say, but I have to put it out there. The Indiana Pacers will host the Boston Celtics. Who will win?
The Celtics.
Celtics. So we have Celtics and Bucks. Who will play the Lakers in the inaugural in-season tournament championship?
I'll say the Celtics.
So we have a Lakers-Celtics in-season tournament championship. Who was walking away with $500,000?
I'll say the Lakers win.
Ooh.
Yeah, I'll say the Lakers win.
Okay, so we have very similar brackets. I have the Lakers beating the Suns. I have the Kings beating the Pelicans. I have the Bucks beating the Knicks. And I have the Celtics beating the Pacers. I have the Celtics beating the Bucks. I have the Kings beating the Lakers. And I have the Kings beating the Celtics in the first in-season tournament.
Okay.
Dun, dun, dun.
So by next week, it'll be over? In-season tournament's over? Yeah,
so the games are going to be played Monday and Tuesday. So by the time next Friday comes around, it'll be over.
Oh, wow. That was quick. That was quick.
Moving on to the last segment of the show, we have fact or cap. So, Toddy, I asked you to come with a list for most improved players. So, fact or cap, Alfred Sengun is going to win the most improved player award. Fact or cap.
Woo!
He is currently averaging 21 points, 9 rebounds, and 6 assists. Last year, he averaged 15 points, 9 rebounds, and 4 assists.
That boy been putting up crazy numbers. They're comparing him to Jokic. They're comparing him to and I'm just like, oh, wait. Hold on now. But he's been looking whenever he plays against Jokic, he's been holding his own. He's been playing fairly well against the Nuggets. Man, Alfred Sengun. I mean, there's a list of guys. I feel like he's one of them. I feel like the guy who's probably going to win it is Tyrese Maxey. So I'll say this cap. Maxey is averaging I have the numbers here, 27 and 6. And pretty much to start the year is averaging 30. So Tyrese Maxey is probably going to be an all-star this year. Do you think Sengun's going to be an all-star by chance?
I don't think so. It's going to come down to wins, and they're not going to get enough wins.
I don't think this award really comes down to that. It's kind of just coming down to what you kind of were last year and what your numbers are this year. He's taking a leap. He was he was a late first-round pick, if I'm not mistaken. Jokic, who was also he was a late second-round pick, if I'm not mistaken.
And Jokic got drafted during a Taco Bell commercial.
There you go. During a commercial, he got drafted. So I think it's going to be Maxey this year, just the way where the Sixers are and what they kind of look like post James Harden. I feel like there's a little bit more pressure there on him to be good, and he's been playing very solid. As far as Sengun goes, Sengun has been playing out of his ass. Kevin already mentioned the numbers. He's averaging 21, 8, and 5, or 21, 8, and 6, 21, 9, and what was it?
6. 21, 9, and 6.
So for him to kind of just come out of the blue, and is he the best player on this team, or is it I don't know who the best player on this team is. I want to say it's Jalen Green, but
Alfred's been doing it.
Alfred's been playing out of his ass. I think Van Vliet's been playing pretty well on this team.
Dylan Brooks has been balling.
Dylan Brooks has been playing good. And I feel like it's kind of a little bit of everybody that's been playing really well. And they have Ime Udoka as well. So I feel like he has a lot to do with it. So I'm going to say that this is cap. I think it goes to Tyrese Maxey because Maxey is probably going to go from, Not really a bench guy because he didn't come off of the bench last year. He was kind of just
A hybrid role.
James Harden was there. He, ate up. He had the ball in his hands most of the time, ate up a lot of clock, so didn't really get much time. Pretty much when Harden was on the bench, that was kind of when Maxey was able to kind of come out and do his thing. And he's kind of came out and said that James Harden kind of was one of his biggest supporters. And if it weren't for him, he wouldn't be where he is today. So props to Maxey for saying, something like that. But I'm going to say this cap, I think it's going to go to Tyrese Maxey.
So Alfred Sengun is going to win the most improved player of the year award. Factor cap. I'm going to have to go cap. We talked about the numbers and the huge jump that he's taken in this Houston Rockets team alone. Tyrese Maxey was one of the guys that I had on my list. Scotty Barnes was another guy on my list, but I think the most improved player of the year award is going to go to Cam Thomas of the Brooklyn Nets. Last season, he averaged 10 points, 2 assists, and 3 rebounds. This year, he's averaging 27 points, 2 rebounds, and 4 assists. So if you want to just go strictly off the numbers, the most improved player would have to be Cameron Thomas. Last year we saw it when they just had a lot of things going on. We talked about it earlier in the show with the KD, James Harden, Kyrie stuff. So Cam Thomas was kind of in the background, just soaking up game. Every postseason or every post-game conference, he's talking about how he played Kevin Durant one-on-one and James Harden, and it's showing, that he put in the work with some of the 3 of the arguably best players in the world. So I think Cam Thomas is going to have to be the guy who wins this award. But Alfred Sengun definitely would finish second on my list. So that will do it for the Factor Cap, and that will do it for episode 65 of Stats Over Politics. Will be chaotic because you guys know Shaun and Toddy are Niner fans, and I am the lone Eagles fan, and they play on Sunday. So next Monday, it's going to be chaotic. So Monday, 8:30, you are not going to want to miss this. Either way it goes, even though I know which way it's going to go, it's going to be a good show. I hope the guys show up once the Niners lose, but it's going to be a fun show. Todd, you have anything to say to the guys before we get out of here?
It's going to be a hell of a weekend. A lot of sports going on. SEC championship weekend. You got the Niners-Eagles game on Sunday. Pac-12 championship is about to start in T-minus like 5 minutes, so Kevin and I are probably going to watch that. Had Washington minus 9.5 tonight. Said that earlier in the show. Or plus 9.5, not minus 9.5. So be on the lookout for that. But thank you guys for tuning in. We appreciate you guys.
Appreciate it. Yeah, man. We're nothing without you guys. Like I said, this is episode 65 of Stats Over Politics. You can find us on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, X now. Like I've been saying, we're everywhere like the pandemic, man. We're worldwide. So go ahead and we want to keep putting out content for you guys, and we are nothing without you guys. So we appreciate you guys. And this is Kevin Dent and Jaevon Toddy. We are signing off. And like I said, we will see you guys on Monday. Go Ducks, baby, because Ohio State got to get in there.
Peace.
Peace.